Do you want to be happier? Do you want to be healthier? Well, if you answered yes to any of these questions, you are on the right life. Today, I am very privileged on the last day of May to interview one of the top 50 most impactful people on LinkedIn. She's still having problems connecting to the live stream, but I want to give you first some idea of, who she is and what we will talk about today. What I learned, in terms of happiness and health, your mother have a great impact in terms of your overall well-being, specifically your mental and physical health. Let's digest that further. Well, when I became a mother to two children, I realized how my children's behavior and attitude are so much related when I was carrying them, in my womb. So, and on my eldest, because it was my first time to be a mother, I was so emotional. I keep on crying. And so my daughter, when she actually was, still small, and even up to now, she's kind of emotional. But compared to my youngest, well, my youngest is a very different story. During that time, one of the doctors told me that I have to, terminate the pregnancy for some reason. I don't know. So I intentionally did not follow her advice. I said, if this is God's will, this is my baby, everything will be fine. So I decided I will be happy no matter what to make sure I'm going to have a happy child. And my youngest is like happiness bubble. And before I continue, let me introduce myself for those who don't know me yet. My name is Wandalin Tan Kalupi. I am the number one most influential Filipina on LinkedIn in 2021. One of the top 10 Filipino content creators out of 10 million Filipinos on the platform. And also, I am the first Filipina LinkedIn live broadcaster. Every month, I go live on LinkedIn because my goal is to inspire and empower women by interviewing other women who are actually successful in their own ways. And today, I have the honor of interviewing MamaLiz. For those of you who knows MamaLiz, she is that one of the top 50 most impactful people on LinkedIn. And let me just read her bio while waiting for her to join. So let me just, I know she has a very good profile and it's very long, which actually is a good time for us to get to know more about Mama Liz. Mama Liz, I know if you're watching us live now, I'll be waiting for you. No worries. Let me just read your bio for a while. And I just want to also remind other mothers, maybe you're thinking, and for those of you who are actually watching now, think about how did your mother impact your life? How is your happiness and health connected to your mother? In so many ways, because they said one of the books I recently read is called The Game of Life and How to Change It. And actually, it was discussed there how a mothers are consciously and unconsciously causing their family, their children to be healthy and to be sick, to be successful. And I know from experience, my life, wherever I am today, I'll say I'm a product of my mom's idea. Her vision for my life is what I live for. I mean, when I was a child, she will always tell people, this is, my daughter, she'll bring me out of poverty. Or she will speak great words about me that when I started to believe that, I became that. The dreams she had for me, I was able to fulfill all of them. And I think when I also became a mother, I understood what's the power of mothers in terms of impacting their children. And Mama Liz is here now. Let me introduce her. But before I do, I first want to thank Mama Liz. I was actually practicing this effortless ease. It's meaning you just surrender to what is. And I was praying to God. I said, God, I want to go live, but I want to spread mental health awareness. And I want to talk about mothers because it's both Mother's Day and mental health awareness now. And I was browsing through the top 50 most impactful people on LinkedIn. And I was like, wow, Mama Liz, it just, struck like this is the right person for me to interview this month. And when I sent her a message with a very short notice, she said yes. So I want to thank her and honor her for her generosity. And let me give more information about Mama Liz. Liz's passion and purpose is to help people, especially children, youth, college students, young professionals to find, ignite, develop, and release the greatness and vision, the superpowers inside themselves. Liz, also called Mama Liz Franklin, is an author of over 30 books. Wow, that's really a lot, right? And a public speaker from Knoxville, Tennessee. She left her career as a business manager and financial planner to dedicate her life to empowering children, teens, and young people to find their greatness and prioritize time through books, workshops, homeschool curriculum, and speaking events. Liz spearheaded an initiative to empower children in the battle against COVID 19 and is currently empowering them to understand war. She released 9 free ebooks in the COVID series in 25 languages. Wow, this again, a wow. And just released the first book in the war series in 10 languages. In addition, she heads a nonprofit to foster initiatives for children and teens worldwide. There's so much to talk about, Mama Liz, but I want to bring her on stage with me now. Um, Mama Liz, thank you. I cannot explain how much, thankful and excited I am to finally meet you. Thank
No.
you for saying yes to this interview.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love to talk to moms, and it makes such an impact on children and what happens in the next generation that, it's an empowerment that literally does empower the children and youth. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. In case my internet, sometimes because of the world where we live now, we're digitally connected, but sometimes the Wi-Fi disconnects or for whatever reason, just continue talking. If you don't see me, I will be on the background, but I am praying all will be well today. I just want to brief you on that. But let me jump away to the first question because what's mentioned. I was reading this book, The Game of Life, and how to play it, and it was mentioning so many times how a mother's fear, thoughts, and beliefs are responsible of the many problems, and successes in the lives of children. And I know from your experience, you've worked with teenage, with children, with young adults and college students. Can you share me in terms of, how does this principle stands true? How did you see the impact that mothers have on their children?
I think the biggest impact that I've seen is actually in the homeschool groups. I talk to the children and youth, but then I do one for moms because it's no reason to empower the kids if I don't empower the moms to
Hmm.
support the children. And the biggest thing that I see in parents is the fears because they haven't been able to fulfill their dreams in life. And so they don't expect their children to do that. And so that's probably the number one thing that I see that has a huge impact is because we don't go after our dreams. We pass that on to the next generation. And it just becomes this generational spiral that no one ever goes after those dreams in their hearts. And
Hmm.
that's probably the biggest thing that I've seen in the mom's impact on children. But yes, our thoughts, yes, our beliefs in ourselves, yes, everything we say, but most importantly, everything we do and we believe about ourselves and about our lives and about um, the ability to live this life with power and greatness affects our children in a way that is so much bigger than our words saying, "Oh, you can do big things someday." And that's the second big thing with parents is their belief that children can't do big things right away. And so
Hmm.
because we weren't allowed to do things when we were young, we
I
put the
agree.
same feeling on our children. And so those are the biggest things that I see in moms affecting the next generation. Um,
I fully agree with that, Mama Liz. Thank you for sharing that. I think I want to speak from my own experience first. Like, at 30, I think it was 36 when I reached a stage of burnout. And I was thinking, I have everything that I've always wished for, like a stable job, an audit manager position, this kind of salary, living in a first world country. I have everything in the list. And I was like, I felt so guilty that I was unhappy. And then when I was recollecting my life, I realized, wait, this was never my dream. This was my mom's dream for me. And I realized I was living the life exactly how she envisioned it for me. And when I started to fulfill that list, I started to get lost because I was like, wait, I didn't actually ask what I wanted, right? And it doesn't make it right or wrong, but I think I and that translates to me in many ways because I realized that I was lost. I wasn't happy, with that because I was living a life that I never dreamed of. It's my mom's dream for me. But it was very good because I landed, in a very good way. But it was then that burnout for me was a wake up call for me that wait, Wanda, this is your life and it's never too late for me to dream my dreams and make it happen. And I also see that a lot of fears of my mom I inherited. So, and similarly to my children, when I became a mother to two daughters, I was trying to always think of how do I manage my children and how do my fears, my aspirations, how do I try to save them from the pains I have been through or and things like that. And I was like, wow, it's really a cycle. This is why I understand now why they said that mothers have the impact on multiple generations to come. Because we have that power, right, to empower them or to stop them. Because we said, as you said, when we were small, we were always told not that we cannot do great things. But when I see my children, I always tell them now they're so much intelligent than I used to be when they were my age. And I can see so much that they'll surpass every accomplishment that I've been. And that is something that's very good. And my next question, I think, will be what's your most favorite part? Because there are so many people I know that you can serve and you can help. But what's your favorite part about working with children, with college and with teens? What gives you that passion and energy to do that?
Yeah, I think all of us have a special talent and a place that we belong, and it's where I belong, first of all, And so, first of all, it's just who I am. If you put me in a huge room filled with, you know, adults and professionals and all kinds of people, motivational people, all these different people that I could be drawn to, you'll find me over with the teenagers or the college students
Mm-hmm.
or kids, and that's where I'll find my joy. And so that's the first part. But the most important thing I think that brings me joy on a day-to-day basis in working with young people is they haven't learned to not believe in their dreams yet. So when
Hmm.
you tell them that they can do it, that when they find that dream and it comes alive in them, they don't have all that baggage that adults have because
True.
there's so much undoing when I'm talking to
Mm.
a group of all the years they never pursued it or they never believed in it or they've tried and failed. And so having that fresh slate is a beautiful thing. And that's one of the beautiful things of working with young people.
MamaLiz, I wish I found you when I was very young. I think whatever you're doing is something that's so profound and so much needed, right? Because I think, you don't have to reach, there's something called quarter life and midlife crisis. And when I was reading those publications, like, oh my God, I've actually been through quarter life crisis without me knowing it. I've been through burnout without me knowing it. And I think if as early as, if you're a college student, if you're a teen, if they already found Mama Liz, they will have so much clarity and belief that this is the path that I wanted. So I think whatever work you're doing is something that I really love and wish I had when I was a child. But I know there's a perfect timing for everything. So maybe my next question is, I know, they always say it's very difficult to find a career that's right for you. And can you tell me how did you really find that odd, teaching teens, writing books? This is something that you're called to do because this is what I found that's most challenging when I was, realigning my life, knowing myself. The question is, what am I really here for, and how do I find that? Can you tell us, please, a story of how did you find it for yourself?
Wow. It's a long story. You tried to brief it. But first of all, I started working with youth in the community when I was 16. And
Mm.
and so I've done it my whole life. But I saw it as community service as opposed to a calling and a purpose in my life, you know. Mentored when I was yeah, I started in business and I was a business manager. And again, just like you, I was very successful. I have a lot of administrative gifts. So I'm very good in managing and doing all those things and checking all the boxes and being at the top of the top of the list all the time. But there is something missing. Um,
Hmm.
when then I began to make this transition because I began to find out that it wasn't checking my box for success. So when I switched over into financial planning, made a huge career jump there. And when I did that, I found a lot of fulfillment because I was working and making a difference in people's lives. But one day I was asked to speak for a group
Mhm.
of those financial planners about time priorities because that's important to me because I almost died when I was 28. And because of that moment, it's changed my life. Um, it was, I found success before as just being something that was about being the best at what I did and giving my all to it. Suddenly I found out that this time is limited and short. And I decided from that experience, I was going to live every day like it was my last. And that
Hmm.
changed everything about me. It changed my purpose. It changed the way I interacted with my child. It changed the way I interacted with life. It changed my view of everything I did. And then I began to work. I began to do these workshops. So the CEO that day said, "You're just touching the tip of the iceberg. You don't even know what you have," because it was like this motivational thing, and I didn't know what I had. That was 20 years ago.
Mhm.
But little by little, I began to speak to adults and business people, and then a homeschool parents, and they asked me to speak. And then I thought about college students and how their time was so limited. And so I spoke to college students, and all of a sudden, it was like a new life in it because I was working with young people, talking about the things I loved. And I'm like, okay. And then I was asked to do a high school group and then a children's group. And so people led me on this path without me realizing I was going toward my path, and what I would find all the fulfillment that I needed. So, yeah, that's my story. It was a long process, but it's almost like there were things laid out in front of me to find
Hmm.
to get me to where I belonged.
That's lovely, right? I think, initially I am a planner. I'm so much into I have to do this A B C. If it doesn't happen, then I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed. But I've also learned through what actually you're saying. It's called the power of surrender, right? And one of the things it said is that you should not set any goals, any plans, but only purpose. And when you do that, that's when you will find so much joy and peace because you focus on your purpose. And I was trying to practice that like for a month now. No goals, no plans, no expectation. I actually dropped everything that I'm doing. And I was like, God, I think I'm at this stage of my life where I'm very happy and I'm happy to give back and to however I want to be used. And so I was like, okay, let me just now understand how it's going to happen. And I'm very surprised really how, as you said, right? I mean, instead of me planning ABC, I think things are falling into place. It's not about knowing everything, but I think it's about knowing the next right thing that leads you to another right. It's kind of scary, especially on a career jump. So Mama Liz, let's talk about, there's great resignation, there's a lot of parents who are trying to, go back to work after a long break because of the pandemic or they've lost their jobs. I mean, talking about career jump, I know you made a career jump shifting from, one career to financial planning. How did you courageously do it? Because I know it's scary. It's scary to be on your own and standing, I mean, just being you and doing what you love to do is something that a lot of people are scared in exchange of the corporate job, that salary that they have. How did you overcome that fear?
It was a huge step for me. I was a very successful manager, but that required 12 hours a day, pretty much. I would drop my son off, who, remember, I'd almost died. I had well, a little bit of mom history here. I'd had two
Mm-hmm.
miscarriages, almost died having my son, and he almost died in the birth. Then I had a stillborn when I almost died later. And so then I'm back in my career and got this huge promotion, went to a new company. It was wonderful. But I'm dropping my 2-year-old off at daycare at 7 in the morning. The minute they opened up, and picking him up at 7 at night when they closed. And in the middle of that, I go through a divorce. So I'm suddenly a single mom handling both parent responsibilities and a career. And this thing inside me to live every day like it's my last and prioritize what matters to me. And so that's the key. I found my priorities. I decided that I wanted to step into something where I had control of my time that a company didn't. And I was willing to forsake the comfortable salary for a commission based kind of life, totally unknown, totally new career and new direction, in order to have time with my child and to be what I needed to be to him. And so for me, overcoming that fear was a bigger yes to say yes to. And I think that's the key in our lives. Rather than looking at what we're saying no to, what we're leaving, look for that bigger yes to say yes to. Because if you're only being led by the yes, being led by your heart, then it has a way of working out, and you don't really feel fear. There was a lot of uncertainty. It's like stepping into this world that it's like you don't know what's there, and you're in a giant field and you don't know what you're doing, and it is scary. But follow your heart and find ways, to find the yes that you're saying yes to. Don't just make career changes because it's a good idea, because that's not going to overcome your fears. Because you don't have something internalized that's driving you to make that change. But when you have that internal trigger, and for me, it was prioritizing time with my child and not being stuck in this world. Um, the fears were not something to stop me.
Hmm. I think, Mama Liz, a lot of moms need to hear your story. Because
Mhm.
I think, when I became a mother, and, I was very first guilty because I have to leave my children because I'm working. And there's so many things that I miss because I'm working, and, I have to send them to school, or I'm busy, and or either I'm traveling. And it came a point in time, like, there was no additional salary. I mean, no additional zeros in my salary can compensate for the guilt that I'm feeling. And I think there's a lot of research saying why there's few women in the boardroom. And I think it's not only because, you decide, because mostly women decided not to be there. Because I think for me, even up to now, I'm very clear. I decided to downshift my career because my family comes first. My children comes first. My time with them is something that's priceless. And I think there's no more guilt anymore when I can relate to your story when you said, when you find that alignment with your heart of what's true to you and what you value. It's, I agree with you, it's very scary. When I actually left my audit manager job, I was like, what am I gonna do? And then after 3 months, I was like, I think I'm not the fit for housewife either. So I went into something, what do I really love to do? And there's like, wait, I love training and coaching, and I love sharing what I know. And that also led me to places. And I think it's the same thing, right? It's about following your heart, which is never wrong, I'll say. So the heart is always true. And thank you for sharing that. I think my next question will be, what is your advice? Because a lot of mothers are scared. I mean, they know from their heart they want to be with their children, but they also know from their heart they want to help the family in terms of finances. What do you think is the first? right step or next step for them to be comfortable with the decisions that they do? How can they stop mom's guilt also, which is kind of tough?
I think the first thing, when I was in management and had a child, I missed my child, but I didn't feel guilty because I gave 100% of myself to work when I was at work. But when I was at home, I gave 100% to my child. And so, you know, I I brought him into my world as far as like he would when I was a financial planner, if I had to go in for a couple of hours on Saturday, I would take him with me. And so he was part of what I was doing. I would assign little jobs for him. He would work and I would pay him.
Oh, wow.
He learned business skills while I was having to work a little overtime. So rather than leaving him somewhere, I learned how to involve him in my life. My daughter, as I was speaking and things, I would take her with me from the time she was a baby or little, and she would go with me to these events and sit in the back of workshops and do her homeschooled. And so she did her work while she sat there, but yeah, I think involving your children, if you can, um, let them see why you do what you do. Let them understand.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to shield them from, the value that it brings to you, because they need to see that it's something that a lot of mothers enjoy their time and they feel guilty by enjoying it because they're out in the world that they enjoy doing what they enjoy. But when their children understand it's not just a job, but it's something that
Mhm.
feeds the joy inside you, that it builds you up, that makes you a better mother, and being happier when you're with them, that more being able to bring more to them because you're filled up, then I think it helps them to see it in a different light. It helps you to see it in a different light too, though. And find your greatness. Obviously, that's my big thing. When you find your special talent and you're doing that thing, there is so much that flows from you. And that can be in business, in any kind of job. It's not about just doing motivational speaking, okay? Whatever it is that you do with just this amazing talent that's inside you, and you realize you're the only one in the world, you are the only one in the world with that talent, that it flows through you. You're the only one with your past, your pain, your passion, your purpose, your heart, your talents, your education, just all the things that make you you. Whatever you're doing has to flow through that, so it makes it unique to you. And no one in the world has ever done it, and no one in the world will ever do it like you do. And when you get that kind of assurance about yourself and faith in yourself and purpose in yourself, that spills over. And you don't feel guilty because you know that it's a bigger thing that you're answering to. And finally, one more little thing, and that's take
Mhm.
baby steps. If you remember my story, I went from
Uh-huh.
management to choosing a different kind of business job that gave me more time, to stepping into teaching or into workshops and writing and things. But it was in baby steps. And, write out the perfect life. Write out where you are, draw a picture of it, make, a sketch of it, just like I do with time. Okay, mesh the two together and find happy middle place where you could step
Mhm.
into, and then keep doing that one step at a time until you get to your ultimate goal.
That's very good. There's a lot of nuggets of wisdom that I pick up from there. But I think number one, I agree with you. You should bring your children, what in whatever you're doing because they understand it more. I remember when I started volunteering for doing these trainings and workshop, I bring my children with me and they will while teaching, they'll write on the blackboard or do something. And when I do have meetings in the past, I will be here, then they'll be in another table. And I think now that my kids are a bit older, they appreciate that they were involved of what I'm doing and they understand why I'm doing it. And I think it pays it might be scary to bring your children with you, but it connects you on a different way, right, Mama Liz? And I also, I used to be uncomfortable sharing who I am and what I do, because sometimes, like for example, for my scenario, I am a certified public accountant, but I found my love in training and coaching. And then when I started my speaking career, I was, giving my bio, and people were like, "Oh, but you're an accountant. Why can you speak and why can you cover this topic?" And I was like, I wasn't fitting into the box of these people. And I I was able to only win speaking contracts when there's a deliberation, meaning like if you are allowed to, present yourself and your topic, then I actually passed that. So I was able to win some contracts with the government in the Philippines on the Department of Trade Industry and Central Bank, just because I was given a chance to present myself. But on many instances, people right away have, a box to think like, oh, why? She's an accountant. Why is she speaking? Why is she covering? So I initially felt uncomfortable saying who I am and what I do and what makes me different, because society has a way of, giving you of a parameter of who should you be, what you should be doing. And that's actually how did you become comfortable being uniquely you? I think that's the question.
Two things. Two people greatly impacted my life. When I was a financial planner, we had a lot of motivational speakers, and one, my very favorite, was Zig Ziglar, and he's
Oh, I love him. Mm.
and maybe this will help a lot of moms too, because I was a financial planner, but the only kind of the end goal was success was measured in sales, not
Mm.
in the purpose you created in the life. And I remember the very first time I heard him speak, he said, if you help enough other people get what they want out of life, you'll get what you want out of life. And it was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to focus on goals. I don't have to focus on all these things. All I have to do is focus on helping other people get what they want out of life. And I think if everyone can get that inside them, that it changes their perspective. And so that was a big thing. The second one was when I found out what my success trigger was. What's a success trigger? There's a little thing inside you, inside me, inside every single person, that when you push that hot button, it's like dopamine wild goes crazy in your body, and it brings so much joy and so much happiness. And I found that mine was making a difference. And so when I began to apply, understanding myself, that what made me happy, what made me feel successful was making a difference, then I began to apply these two principles in financial planning. And suddenly it wasn't numbers and crunching, and I studied the financial markets and securities and all these things, and produced amazing financial plans for families and businesses, and spoke to groups and did all these things. But the underlying heart behind it was helping others get what they want out of life and making a difference.
Hmm.
Those
That's
were
very nice. That's very nice. I think, actually everything that you're saying now resonates with a lot of your posts, right? I love LinkedIn because there are people like you. Like, when you, because I think everything that we do, there's kind of energy that we bring back, right? And we give back. And whenever I read through your posts, I always feel that, there's a heart. You just don't post something just for the sake of posting, but I feel so much. It's like, oh yeah, there's so much realization because of what you're sharing, what you're posting. And I think it's because of what you said now, because you're only focused about helping as much people as you want, which is service and making a difference. I think when you really are purposeful in what you do, it reflects, right, in what you say, in what you think, and what you do. And thank you for setting that example, because I think I find it very few people who are doing that. Especially on LinkedIn, it's sometimes frustrating. People connect with you right away, they send you a direct message, I'm offering blah blah blah, but I was like, oh,
Mhm,
okay.
mhm,
But
mhm.
I think, I'm on the LinkedIn community because there are people like you who truly makes a difference. And thank you for that. So I think my next question is what keeps you going? Because I know there are days, there are no perfect days, right? There are days when you're down and dry, there are days where you're motivated. But what keeps you going every day?
Well, I really rarely have a down day, honest, and that's just absolutely honest. Okay, and it's not being, I'm not, I, I, the first thing is, and I think this is important for everyone. A long time ago, when I began to study time and teach time priorities, one of the biggest things that I do in my life to stay motivated is I get up 30 minutes before anyone in the house. And that's me time, quiet time, and just really connecting to my purpose. And what can I do? What's today's purpose to make a difference? And I really think everyone could benefit from that. I used to believe that sleep was more important, but that kind of morning quiet time, reflection time, and every single day has a purpose. And that's what people don't understand. They see it as this big thing out there. But if you connect each day's purpose, then the big thing will be there in the end because it's a day by minute thing. The second thing is I take care of me. You know,
Hmm.
I, I, I watch what I eat. I exercise. I watch what I put in. I know garbage in, garbage out. I don't watch things that would impede the heart of mine flowing freely. And I'm very careful about the input that I bring into me. And so that keeps me motivated because if you're not bringing in garbage, garbage doesn't come out. Um, and I know that this is whatever it is you do a little thing to start. In the morning when I'm in this quiet time, just some little idea pop in my head, and that's where my posts come from. It usually takes 5 minutes to write it, and people are like, "Oh my gosh," but that's really the truth. It's just some little idea that comes to my heart, and I jot it down and I send it off. But I've written something for that day. Well, since a lot of what I do is writing, and it can be very tedious to get when you get into the editing and all those kind of things. But because I'm already getting, it's like priming the pump.
Hmm.
Get small things started, something small that you can do. And then, we talked about goals, but let me just throw one thing at you. If every time you achieve something, a goal, and for me, it's making a difference, every time you achieve that during the day, whatever your little goals are, it causes this dopamine response in your body. It's a booster, and it's a goal achieving booster. And that causes your body to crave that sensation again. So when I write this little post in the morning, and almost every single day, somebody says, "This is exactly what I needed to hear today." Well, you can imagine what that does to me because all of a sudden,
Hmm.
what I've done has made a difference. And it wasn't just words, and it wasn't just, "Oh, nice post," or whatever. It's this made a difference in my life. And so that just motivates me to do it again. But there's more to it than just motivation. There's really a chemical response in your body that causes your body then to crave it again and figure out what it was in your mind that caused you to do that and cause it to happen easier the next time. And so you go through these little goal things all day long, little tiny purposes all day long, and each one you hit
Hmm.
causes you to do it again, and it becomes easier to do. So those are things that motivate me.
It's good, right? I think the just to summarize that, I think one is about purpose, which I think all throughout you're very purposeful in what you do. I mean, you're not goal oriented. You just have purpose of making a difference, and that is why you're easily in the flow. It's easy to write. Sometimes also for me, I said the writer's block, but then I also when I have that writer's block, I was like, actually, it's never for me to write. Then I pray like, God, what do you want me to share today? Then
Exactly.
that is when, for me, that is when wisdom flows. That I think somebody, I just write this, and I was like, okay, then I will have. And even after, what happens for me, sometimes when I read what I wrote, I was like, did I really write that?
It
And
helps
I
me.
think it's like, is it really me? And I think my lesson there is that when I surrender
Yes.
to to not my own, but to be of use of what message needs to come through me, then that is what magic and miracle does for me. And I think that is when I said, God, just let me share whatever needs to be shared today. I never plan content. And I think that's where, I also feel not pressured because there's no need to be pressured. But I think I love what you're doing, because you said just purposely and taking care of yourself. I love what you said, garbage in, garbage out. And there's a lot of negativity around now. And for me, I really stopped watching news 7 years ago.
Yes.
So that saves me from a lot of pain and misery in the world, because I was thinking, if I cannot, I don't want to contribute to that difficulty in the world. I want to be an agent of peace. So I want to protect that for myself. So I think I agree with you. Taking care of yourself pays so much, because when you do that, then you have more energy to take care of other people also, right? And let's go back to success. I know, success means different thing to different people. And I think my problem before was that I was defining success based on society's condition. Perfect job, perfect pay, this kind of family. And I was like, but at some point I got lost, and I was like, oh, because I did not define again success based on my terms. How do you define it for you? How do you really know what success for you? How do you find that answer within, Mama Liz?
Well, first of all, it's what I think, you alluded to it, and it's finding what you were created to do and be, because you're unique and you're special. And until you connect to that and surrender to it, you can't be anything and not
Hmm.
feel that fulfillment. You will not feel that fulfillment until you find out what you are. It's like monkeys never asked to go graze on the side of a hill, and cows don't ask to climb trees. You know,
True.
it's, they're what they're created to be. And each one of us has this special thing that we're here on earth to create and do and be. And so when you connect to that, you find your success. But when, again, defining it, it's like knowing kind of what you like to do, but then actually being able to put it in words is powerful. And I went to another workshop, a success workshop. It was Anthony Robbins, back before Tony Robbins used a shortened name. It's that many years ago. And he took us through this little process of what's important about success to you. And
Hmm.
I began to peel off the layers. And I ask people this question sometimes, and I'll be like, as I go through it, you just kind of see the layers peel off. And all of a sudden, you get to this core thing. And it's, is there anything more important than that? And you realize there isn't. And for me, what I found underneath that, all those success things that seemed like what success was to me, was making a difference.
Hmm. I love that. I think it's about, you said, right, as we grow old, that's why it's very difficult. I agree with you. It's very difficult to work with adults, because but when you're adult, we have created so much layers already. But when you work with children, teens, I mean, they have so much. I think they're still innocent, and you can empower them so much because they have less limitations than we adults have. And as you said, it's about finding what you're really created to do, which reminded me of the book Conversations with God. I think in that book of Neil Donald Walsh, he clearly said, you are here to remember who you are.
Yes.
And you are here to remind others about that. And you are here to express who you are. And I think, Mama Liz, what I'm very happy about that is that, you're a living example of that book. You found what you're here to do, you're expressing that, you're doing that, and you're making a difference. And see it, I think I can talk the whole night, the whole day with you, because I really love to listen. Maybe before we end, there's a lot of moms who are forging their paths, their career paths. What do you, because some people say you need to sacrifice your career for your children, but I believe you can have it all. And for me, it's all about defining what the success mean to me as a mother, as a career woman, and finding that alignment. And what do you think is your advice to women who wants to be successful personally and professionally?
Um, I would say, first of all, you've got to find your greatness. That's the most important thing in the whole wide world. You don't want to just be successful. You want to be fulfilled as a mom and as a businesswoman, both. And you can, because it will work if you work it, and find out what it is. Be very guarded with your time, especially today. This is probably your worst enemy for your family.
Um,
It isn't your job, it's this right here. It honestly is. Learn to prioritize your time, control your time, take it back. Decide what's important to you in your family and what it means to be. Write down, what does a successful mom look like to you? Most people say, I want to be successful, but they don't have a picture of it. At the beginning of the year, I always do they call it a vision board today. I've been doing
oh,
these
mhm.
ago. They don't exist. It was before those things existed. But every single area of my life, I would write down what my goals, I'll use the word goals, were for that year. What I would first have to spend a whole month in reflection time, prayer, and find out what my next, what do I want to pursue for this next year? And then every area relationally, and as a mother, and spiritually, and physically, and in my job, and in my career, and financially, and every single area, I would seek as to what success looked like for me for this coming year. And, we take it in steps, because it's like we change over time. But I think that's important, is to get a visual of what that looks like and talk
Mm.
about it. Bring them into the process. Like we want to do it all in ourselves, but you're a team at making this thing work, because it's a relationship. And a relationship that's one-sided is nothing. And so you find ways to work together. Quick example was when I was a single mom and I was working and my son was in school. We would, I was, most moms understand this. I would say, would you take out the garbage for me? Would you do this? Would you do this? Would you do this? And they'd be like, oh, I can do it in a few minutes, mom. I'm let me finish this game, or whatever. And I'd be like, okay, but I would have to ask again and again. And I was doing the majority of the work, and we never had any time to do anything together. And so we became a team. And I would come home from the office and I would write on my whiteboard, these are the things we need to do today. We would work together on it for about an hour, and we were done, and we shut it down. And then we would go to the soccer field for the rest of the afternoon. So find ways like that to compromise what you're doing, because we moms tend to take everything into themselves and do it themselves. And they try to push responsibility on children, rather than bringing them in as a team to accomplish them.
Mhm.
We can just have parent-child time. And so I think that's a very important thing. Control your time and set boundaries. When you're at work. Don't do other things. Let your children know, I'm at work, unless it's an emergency, don't call me, because I'm going to focus there. But when I get home, my work is going to have those same boundaries. And they're not going to interfere with me unless it's an absolute emergency, because your time is as important as my time is. And I would schedule them into my planner. If you do schedules, you know what it's like. You have it all full. And your child looks at that, but do they ever see their name in there?
Mm.
And so prioritize your time, set your boundaries, schedule them in like they're as important as your business. And that is world. It's just psychologically, it does a huge thing for your child, because they feel as important as your business. And finally, be an above and beyonder in life. It's something I learned in high school. My
Mm.
I was I studied computer programming, so I understand being an accountant and doing what you're doing. It's like background for it. But my teacher, my computer programming teacher, would not give an A unless you did more than was assigned to you. You had to find an
Mm.
outlet to do more than was required of you. And so I learned to live my life as an above and beyonder. not because it was required of me as I went on, but I learned a life skill that when I do more than people expect of me, when I give more of myself than my child, than other parents do, it doesn't matter that I'm working
Hmm.
because they see me as a super mom and they'll see you as a super mom too.
That's very good. I'm trying to digest everything you said. And I think if I may summarize, first you said find your greatness. Second, you prioritize your time, you schedule it, and I agree with you. In term, when you become a parent, you try to push responsibility, but it's all about teamwork, right? I
Mhm.
mean, that works. But for my children, what I do now, I don't give them tasks. I ask them, what time do you plan to study, or what time do you plan to do this and that? I think that works well rather than telling them do this, do that. I don't do that anymore. I instead said, what time do you plan to do this? And for me, I think setting dates with my children, like one on one, or catch up at night before we sleep, we pray together, we share stories. I think for me, that's something that's always priceless because it helps me connect with them on a different level.
Mhm.
And that also helps me detox and distress my day. And you also mentioned about defining success in different areas of your life. And as you said, we continuously evolve as human, right? So we need to keep on defining, redefining that for ourselves because we are not just a mother, we play many roles in life. So success mentally, physically, emotionally, as a career woman, as a mom, as a wife, or whatever, I think it's important to do that. I actually took a lot of programs which helped me also understand, oh, I have to put it because without clarity, then it cannot happen, right? So thank you again so much. Mama Liz, please tell us how can we best connect with you? What kind of workshops, your books, how can we buy it? Please tell us so at least the people who will watch this replay, can of course definitely work with you. I think working with you is a gift. There are very few people on earth who I found very purposeful, and I see that so much in you. So I'm very blessed to have you tonight. Thank you so much again. Please do invite people to connect with you, to follow you, and to buy your books and your workshops.
Well, on LinkedIn, you can look for hashtag MamaLiz, and that's the easiest way to find me on LinkedIn. My email is liz@lizfranklin.com if you need to message me directly. If something's going on that you just want some Mama Liz talk to for, briefly, just give me a message. My website is mamalizfranklin.com. Books are all there and they're on Amazon. And there are 9 free COVID books and the war book. All these things are free. Go to my website and download them for your kids. I, I chose to not make a profit on pandemics and war and things like this. And that's what this nonprofit is about. I'm starting is to empower kids, do initiatives that empower them in these areas that they just don't understand and all these things that are going on in our world. There's Time Doctor books, little picture books for little kids, and there's a homeschool curriculum of time for kids and teens, and a time for high school. A new book coming out, Time for College, and Taming the Time Monster, and Time to Thrive for college. And then I wrote a Mama Liz book this year. It's called Starting the Year Off Right with Mama Liz. So this audience actually got a book of just kind of my posts and a motivational journal. So it goes in all different directions. So just look on my website and you'll find all these things.
Thank you, Mama Liz, for sharing that. Please go to mamalizfranklin.com to get access to her books, to check her programs, to get those free ebooks. I think you're a gift to the world. Thank you, Mama Liz, so much. Also, I would like to thank our live stream moderators. I have some team supporting me from the live stream, from the backstage. Sherry, Rina, Cecil, Tin, and Ruth. Thank you so much. Mama Liz, I wish you have a great day. I look forward to meeting you someday if you're traveling to Dubai. Or if I'm in the US, I make it intentionally to meet you. I think I really am blessed, and I would love to meet you someday because, I just love so much, how much you shared today. It really gave so much. I think a lot of moms will learn a lot. Sometimes you need to hear another mom story to say, if Mama Liz can do it, so I can. And I think this is the story I always want to tell. And this is why I'm so passionate about interviewing other women, because what I learned is that when I see another women achieving that, and then I started to have it, if she can do it, so I can. And I think you're a living example to many of us that if Mama Liz can, so can we, right? If she can have all the success that she has now, meant in all areas of her life, if Mama Liz can be purposeful, be happy and fulfilled, then we can be that. So thank you again so much. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's been awesome. I appreciate you.
Thank you everybody for watching. Again, this is our LinkedIn Live with Mama Liz, one of the top 50 most impactful people on LinkedIn. Please follow her on LinkedIn. I promise you, you'll have so much load of positive energy and enthusiasm in the morning. When I start my morning, I go to Mama Liz and then I just check and read on. And I already felt energized for my day. And I think it's because she's very purposeful in what she do. And I wish her all the success. Thank you again, mamas. Thank you for watching this on live or on replay. Again, my name is Wandalin Tan Kalupig. I'm the number one most influential Filipino on LinkedIn in 2021. I am also the first Filipino LinkedIn live broadcaster. See you on the next live. God bless you. Bye.